This is Cheyenne Valentine back today again with a new episode. Today's episode, I want to make this video about a woman's sex drive because people were making comments about this based upon my last video. Let me start. Oh my God. People don't. Anyway, I guess some people haven't listened to my old videos. Okay, I'm gonna say this. Some women do have a high sex drive. I'm gonna repeat this again. I have said over and over and over again that some women do have a high sex drive. Okay, one size doesn't fit all. But no, the majority of women do not have a really high sex drive. I'm gonna say maybe 60 to maybe 70% of women have maybe a moderate sex drive, moderate to possibly low sex drive. Okay. It could just be moderate. And like I said, women's sex drive kind of goes up and down. It can start off moderate, can maybe go low depending on if she stressed out her emotions. It might was lower, it may be raised a little bit, but I'm gonna say maybe 60, maybe 70% has a moderate, possibly to low sex drive. Like I said, it can change within the month. It may can rise, it can fall. Also with some women, certain times in their life, after a certain age, their sex drive can raise. But just because it raises does not mean that, you know, previously her sex drive was high. Okay, so like I said, the woman's sex drive can rise and fall, but the majority of women do not have a really high sex drive. Okay, it might be 30% of women have a really high sex drive. It might be 40%. But to say the majority have a really high sex drive, that is a blatant lie. I have met women with a really high sex drive. Okay, I'm gonna give you a couple stories about the stuff that they would do. Okay, and then when you talk about the women with a high sex drive, there's categories within that category. Because just because a woman has a high sex drive does not mean she's going to behave a certain way. Okay, that does not mean she's going to jump on every man she sees and try to have sex with him. Okay. She can have a high sex drive but not jump on every dude. But then this is what's happening. So men are trying to convince themselves that most women have a high sex drive. I said some women. I did not say most. Most of them do not have no ravenous high sex drive. Okay? But the ones that do have a sex drive, because some of them do not jump on every man they see, now the guys are saying, oh, well, that's proof that that women have a high sex drive, but they know how to reserve it for the men that they want. They only reserve it for men they're attracted to. If they only reserve it to men they're attracted to, then why is it when a woman has a sex drive and she has the opportunity to get with a guy who's attractive, she doesn't have sex with him? If that's what you men are saying now, that women do have a high sex drive, we just hold it, we just preserve it for the man we're attracted to, then why is it when we see an attractive guy, why aren't we all over him then when we're horny? See, so I'm gonna break down that too, because women still operate different than you men. You're not getting that. Okay, then with my last video, when I said that women had a lower sex drive, I was responding to a guy's comment. He was saying that I've said in previous videos that women have a lower sex drive. That's part of the reason why they don't approach dudes. Well, one of the main reasons is men approach us, and the main reason men approach us because they're fucking horny and they jump on everything they see. Some of them. Okay, women are more complicated. They usually, with a woman, when she sees a guy, he can be handsome, but a lot of times women, I don't know if it's our emotions, but usually if a woman sees a guy walking down the street, one guy, right? What I mean, one guy. Anyway, she sees him walking down the street and he's handsome. She's probably not going to say anything. Now, if she sees him regularly at work or at a place that she goes to a lot, then she starts watching him. She already thought he was handsome, and then she wants to kind of get a feel of his personality. She might watch how he talks to other people. If they interact, she will talk to him. Possibly if he, talks to her, see how she feels when she's talking to him. She starts watching him, and he starts to kind of grow on her. And then after a while, then a desire starts to raise. Okay, she could have been horny the whole time, but just because I know, even seeing a handsome guy one time is not enough for me to want to jump on him. And when I say jump on him, just wanting to have sex with him. Most women, seeing a guy one time, in passing, that's not enough. Even if he's cute, even if she's horny, usually it's kind of like, okay, yeah, he's cute, whatever. But it's usually the guy that she sees regularly because she's gotten to know his personality. Women get turned on by the looks, the personality, and how he treats her, the interaction. She gotta get a feel for his for the chemistry. if it's chemistry there, okay, and just a guy being cute, that's really not enough for women. She gotta, and I guess that's the emotions. We just gotta, we look for more than just a guy being cute, and take money out of and all that. I'm saying if she's horny, she got this high sex drive, even if he's a handsome, that does not mean she's just gonna jump on him. But there's some women who do that. I'm gonna get into the two different types, the women with the high sex drive, okay? And also, when I say a high sex drive, you got some women who naturally have a high sex drive, you know, just naturally all the time. Then you have other women, which is a lot of the rest of us, where our sex drive could be moderate to low. And when I say moderate to low, it ranges between that. So I didn't say 60 or 70% women have a low sex drive. I said it's between moderate to low. Okay, it can go, it can either be within that 60 maybe percent. It can be, their sex drive can be moderate, or it can be low, or it can be in between. But to say that the majority of women have a high sex drive on a level with these dudes, that is a goddamn lie. Okay, and then the women who do have a natural high sex drive, just, you know, it's high. Some of them still don't operate the same, because even with men, I think most men have a high sex drive. I could be wrong, but most of them, to me, think they have a high sex drive. They all still don't operate the same. Just because two people have a high sex drive or a low sex drive does not mean they're going to operate the same. I know two men that I know for a fact got a really high one, like most men, and they choose to go about it differently. One guy, he tries to recruit women from his job. Another guy, he goes online and pick up women. This other guy slept with about 1,000 women. The other guy slept with a lot too, but the other guy has maybe 3 kids. The other one has about 12. One used condoms, one doesn't, but they both have a high sex drive. See, that's why I say it's still a choice how you behave. Just because you have a high sex drive does not mean that you're going to be jumping on everybody you see, and that does not give you a pass for not using condoms and being reckless. Okay, just because people have similar attributes like a high sex drive or a low sex drive does not mean they're all going to behave the same. Okay, and also in my last video, when I said women have a lower sex drive, I was responding to the guy. I didn't say all women had a low sex drive. Listen to what I'm saying. I did not say women have a low sex drive. I said lower, L-O-W-E-R, lower than the average guy. The average woman's sex drive is not up there with a dude, but some women's sex drive is. But the majority of women that I have encountered, okay, their sex drive is not up there with a dude. Now, their sex drive can be, it can be moderate. It can be a healthy sex drive. But to say the average woman's sex drive is neck to neck with a dude, I do not believe that. Okay, I've been around people. I see how people move and how they do things. Like that's not true. Now, there's some women with a high sex drive. I have been around these women, but this is a certain category. So within that category of women with a high sex drive, within that category, you got women who behave differently. Okay, so one set of women that and when I say high sex, okay, so when I say a high sex drive, I'm saying women who just naturally have a high sex drive. Just they get aroused easily, and even when they get aroused, see, and two, this is with the arousal thing. Even if I wouldn't say she get aroused easily. I'm just gonna say she, just like how a man just naturally has it in him. He's just horny a lot. She's just naturally horny. Let's just put it like that. I don't know if she gets aroused easily, but she's naturally horny. Okay, let's just put it like that. Then you have the other set of women, which I think is about 60, maybe hitting on 70%. That's ranging. The sex drive range from moderate to low. It ranges, and even in that segment of women, we still can get a higher sex. We still have our moments when we have a high sex drive. So, for example, I have a moderate. Mine's range between moderate and low. And if the longer I go without sex, it raises. So if I hadn't had sex for 8 months or something, okay, it's gonna my desire for sex is gonna be higher, like anybody else, after 8 months than it is now. But it might just take me longer with a moderate to low sex drive, because mine's range for me to get to the level where I'm really horny and where I'm really wrapped up. Okay, so even a woman with a moderate to low sex drive can get a high sex drive at a certain time, like the longer she waits. So if she haven't had sex in a long time, yeah, now she's horny, now she's ready to do it. So I want to talk about the women with a high sex drive. I want to and like I said, let me repeat this again. I said A significant amount of women have a lower sex drive than the average guy. So lower just means lower, not low. So if a guy, so let's say 10 is where most men's sex drive is at, which is a super high sex drive. A woman with a moderate to low sex drive, which I think is about 60 or maybe even 70% of women, it's over half. Okay. It's ranging between moderate and low. Like I said, it can have a moderate sex drive, which is a healthy, cool sex drive, and some can have a low, and then it can go up and down too in the month, during the month, certain times in their life. Some women, as they get older, it might raise. Some women said that her sex drive has raised, I guess, after 30. My experience is mine has dropped after 30. Okay, so everybody's different, so we can't take a blanket and cover everybody with it. Everybody is an individual. I'm talking about just basically that the average woman's sex drive is not up there with a dude, but there are some women with that sex drive, like with a guy, and I'm gonna get into those women next. But when I said a woman has a lower, not every woman has a lower sex drive, because some women have a naturally high sex drive. I'm saying a significant amount of women sex drive is a lower than a man. So lower just means not low, but lower than his. So if his is at a 10, hers might be at a 6. That's what I mean by lower. I didn't say women don't have a sex drive. See, you men are not going to get away with saying women don't have a sex drive and it's super low every woman, because then you're going to use that to say that women will be satisfied with one guy sexually if he has 4 or 5 wives. Now, a woman, you know, if it's a one-on-one situation, she possibly could be satisfied with one guy. But if he has multiple wives, he's not going to be able to satisfy her, okay, because she still needs time and attention, which includes doing things together, and she needs sex whenever she wants. Even if this week she wants it twice a week, maybe next week she wants it 4 times a week, then maybe next week it might go down to 1, and then maybe next week she might want it 5 times a week. She wants the option of having her husband there with her. Okay, so I said some women, which I think it's a significant amount of women, have a lower sex drive than men. I did not say it was low. I said it was lower than men. So if men's sex drive is at a 10, hers might be at a 6. Okay, that's what I mean, lower. Okay, you know, lower, not low, lower. Okay, and I said maybe about maybe 60%, maybe 70% of women, between 60 and 70% have a moderate to low. What is that? That's a range, moderate to low, where maybe 40% of women have a moderate, and then the rest have, and that percentage has a low, or their sex drive rotates between moderate and low, but depending on the month, depending on what's going on. See, every woman is slightly different, but there's some major similarities, just like with you men. There's some major similarities with you all, but you still are individual. Okay, let's get to women with the high sex drive. Now, within that category of women that have a high sex drive, that could be 20% of women, that could be 40% that have a really high sex drive. Even within that category, those women do not behave the same. So what I mean, now one category of these women with a high sex drive, and when I say high sex drive, I'm gonna repeat this again. These women just naturally have a higher sex drive, okay? However, the other women I mentioned that have a moderate to low sex drive, that's where I range. If we wait months for sex, we can get a high one too, because it's a buildup. Okay, it's a buildup over time, because we haven't been touched, we haven't done anything. So then it's a buildup. Now we're horny. Now we're ready to have sex. Okay, now we're ready to rip somebody's clothes off. Okay. Even if now, with the women with a high sex drive, you have one category of women who has a healthy high sex drive, but she still does not want to jump on every man she sees. And I'm going to use me as an example of what happened to me before I get into that. So with this particular woman, she has a high sex drive, it's healthy, it's high, but when she sees a handsome man, she's still not trying to jump all over him. So for you men who are saying, oh, women do have a high sex drive, they just preserve it for the man they're attracted to, you need to elaborate. Do you mean attracted meaning as long as the attracted just means if the guy is cute and therefore she sleeps with him? Then why is it when women have a high sex drive, this particular set of women, why is it when they see a handsome guy, she don't jump all over him? You think women don't see handsome men from time to time? Okay, let me explain to you what's going on with her, because I experienced this. Basically, like I said, when a woman is attracted to a dude, it's more than his looks. It's how he treats her. It's his personality that plays. So if he looks good, he has a great personality. He treats her a certain kind of way. Meaning, in their interaction, how does he talk to her? What is his tone? What is he saying to her? And she pretty much has to feel chemistry with him. And if she's horny and he's handsome and she's been around him, she still might not sleep with him. So explain that to the dude who said, oh, well, y'all do preserve the high sex drive. Y'all have a high sex drive. You just hold it for the man that you're attracted to. Okay. Of course, a woman, whether no matter what sex drive she is going to want to have sex with a man she's attracted to. But you got to elaborate. When you say attracted, it's not like with some of you men where long as the girl is fuckable, excuse my language, screwable, you're just jumping on her because you're horny. It's like with some women, she can have a high sex drive, she can be horny, but she still wants to get to know him to feel that chemistry that she's looking for, and then she would be actually more turned on to sleep with him. She's already, I guess, horny, but she's not ready to have sex with him. She doesn't feel what she's looking for. Now I'm giving me as an example. I have a moderate to low sex drive. I mean, it can range in that range, and I went a year and a half without having sex. This is after I started having sex, and I stopped having sex, and I waited a year and a half. I called myself trying to wait for a boyfriend. I said, why? I said, if I waited this long, so as each month went past, I said, well, I'm just going to wait to have sex with the next guy I get into a relationship with. That's when I learned back then that men like you to give them sex before a relationship. See, I didn't know that. I was always all the way confused. I didn't understand men. So I thought, oh, I would have sex once I get into a relationship. So I kept holding on to my, vagina until I got a boyfriend. And really, with men, you then have to give them sex first. I didn't say every man, but a lot of times they want sex first, and then they might consider giving you a relationship. That does not mean they're going to give it to you, but they might consider it. Okay, so I'm waiting for a boyfriend. I'm like, oh my God, the hell. So within this year and a half, for the men who say, oh, you have a high sex drive, at that moment I did have a high sex drive, but not because I naturally have a high sex drive. It's just because I waited so long to have sex that it was wrapped up. Trust me, it was high. I was very horny, okay? But I still had mind over matter. I still had control over myself. So for the men who are saying, oh, for the women who had a sex drive, which within that year and a half I did, I'm going to say after about 8 months, that's when my sex drive. So within that year and a half, at the 8-month point is when my sex drive raised up really high and I really wanted to have sex, okay? And so you could technically say, and within that, after 8 months, my sex drive was high. Because like I said with women, some women have just a naturally high sex drive, and some women have a moderate to low one. But as they wait, as time go past, it raises because they haven't had sex in a while. They can maybe wait longer for sex than somebody with a naturally high sex drive who gotta have it sooner than later. So within that year and a half, after the 8 months or whatever, I was around attractive men. I was attracted to some men. I hung out with some men I was attracted to. Now explain to me why I didn't jump on them. Why did I not have sex with them? You think within that year and a half I didn't find men I was attracted to? You know what stopped me? Yes, they were handsome, but I was trying to get to know them. I didn't feel that chemistry yet. And some of you men probably wondering, like, I don't get it. You were horny. You found him to be cute. You all was vibing pretty well. Why you didn't jump on him? Some women are women are complicated. You're not getting it. Like, some women, it's about emotions and feelings too, where some of us are emotional. So we don't really feel that it's something that you can't put your hands on. It's something that you can't even really explain. Either we feel it for the dude or we don't. He can be cute. I could think of a couple dudes. It was one guy, and I shouldn't have did this. I met him. I went over his house. I shouldn't have went over this man's house, but I was over his house. I was horny. And he asked me, I want to spend the night. And I looked at him. I said, no, just take me home. We'll talk tomorrow. He said, okay, cool. Luckily, he didn't rape me or nothing, but because I know I shouldn't have went over there. So nobody has to say you shouldn't have went over there. I know my angel was looking out for me. I shouldn't have went over his house. And I should have known once I went over there, he was going, we went over there during the day to watch TV, but I didn't know men as well back then. I didn't know that you can't be alone in no man's house. He's going to try to have sex with you. Well, most of them are. So to the men who say, okay, we just preserve it for the men we're attracted to, you mean we preserve it for men allegedly that we're attracted to and that we have chemistry and we like and all that? Because it's more than attraction for a woman. It's not just the looks, because if you're just talking about the man we're attracted to physically, no, with some women, even when we're horny, had a high sex drive, we still won't jump on him because he looked good. That's why I was hanging out with him, went over his house, but I still wasn't ready. I hadn't been around him long enough. We just hung out for a couple days. I hadn't gotten to know him well enough. I hadn't gotten to know his personality and if I vibe with him. And we never did it. I didn't feel that He was handsome. I was horny, but I didn't jump on it. Now that's one category of a woman that has a high sex drive. Like I said, repeat this again. Within that category of high sex drive women, okay, there's women who still, when she sees a man that she's attracted to that's handsome, she's not going to jump on him like that. Jumping on him just means trying to have sex with him. Seeing him, and so with women too, I'll give you an example. If she sees a guy on the street that's walking past her, this is a woman with a high sex drive, she still might not say nothing to him. So explain that, man. If she has since she has this high sex drive, why is she not all over him when she finds him to be handsome? What some women normally would do, this category of woman, the man that she sees regularly, a man that she finds handsome that she sees regularly, maybe at the gym, at work, at a grocery store, just a place that she goes to a lot, at school, and she found him to be handsome. Now she's starting to watch him. Now she can get to know his personality. Now she wants to see how he interacts with her. By default, by her constantly seeing him regularly, him talking to her seeing his personality, her getting to know him, that's when her desires for him raise. But most women I know, seeing a guy one time in passing is not enough. Even if he could look really good, it's not really enough to get her to want to have sex with him. Okay, to really jump his bones like that, even if she's horny. Okay, it's usually when she keeps seeing a guy. When I say seeing him at like I said, a place that she goes to a lot. And the more she sees him, like let's put it like this: if she finds him to be handsome, and let's say this is a woman with a high sex drive, she's like, oh, he look good. Okay, so she got him in the back of her mind, but she's not gonna, probably say nothing to him. Then the more she sees him, now she sees him again, then again and again, and then they get to having a conversation. Now she's watching how he walks, how he interacts with people. Now, him and her have had a conversation. Now she's listening to what he's saying, how he's saying it to her, getting a feel for him. As that keeps happening, that's when the desire for him raises. Okay, seeing a guy one time walking down the street, as horny as some women can be, and I say some women can be because you men gonna say all women have a high sex drive. Not all women have a high sex drive. And I'm sorry, the majority of women do not have no high sex drive. I don't know where you men got this from, but that is not true. Okay, so the women who do have a high sex drive, within that category is the category that I'm talking about now. This particular woman, she's not going to jump on the first dude she sees like that. She usually has to see him. She has to get to know him, get to feel for his personality, how he talks to her, his mannerisms. She might watch how he interacts with other women. If she sees him in every woman's face every time she goes into the store, she's turned off by him. You see, women are more complicated than men. Okay, now we got another set of women who have a high sex drive. Now this is the fun set, all right, as I call it. This particular set of women, I have been around this particular set. Now in my lifetime, I've known maybe about 6 women like this, might be a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but I was friends with a couple of them. Let me explain to you some of the things that they did. Now, let me repeat this again. Not every woman with a high sex drive is going to behave like this, okay? I'm saying there's categories within categories. I just named one category of woman with a high sex drive and how she behaves, okay? And I'm pretty sure there's 100 other categories within that category because we all are individuals. But then within that same category, it's another category of woman that I'm about to talk to now. And to me, she behaves a little bit more the way some of you men behave, okay? Now, this set of woman with the high sex drive, she's not as selective as to who she sleeps with. I remember one woman, she told me that at one point she would sleep with a lot of different men. She said, honey, I would sleep with guys who had a big stomach, older men, fat men, men that were not attractive. She said, I just wanted to get it in. And when she was telling me that, she had a smile on her face. Okay, I remember her. I had a friend. She literally told me, she said that, I'm a squirrel looking for a nut, and if I want to stand on the corner and sell my vagina, I would do that. At the age of 17, she got pregnant pretty young. I knew she had a couple STDs because anyway. But I'm going to say when she was 17, she probably slept with over 30 dudes easily. She loved having sex. Now, the men she would have sex with, their looks were kind of range. I think that she preferred dark-skinned guys, but she slept with light-skinned guys too. She slept with guys a little bit older. I met one of the guys, because she had a boyfriend and she would cheat on him all the time, and he'll cheat on her. They'll go back and forth and cheat on each other. And one of the guys that she was talking to, I remember when I seen his head was flat in the back. And she told me, she's like, yeah, his head is real flat in the back. And I used to ask myself, why are you even sleeping with him? You can sleep with better looking dudes. I didn't really get it. she had a boyfriend for a long time, but you know, she would cheat on him, he would cheat on her. She was notorious for her behavior. I literally remember the state that I knew her in. I moved out of that state and moved somewhere else. I found the job in a whole new another state. It was a guy at that job I befriended. We were just friends. Well, I wouldn't even call us friends. We'd just say hi and bye and make conversation at work. We got to talking one day. He asked me where I was from. I told him. And some kind of way, I asked him, did he know her? Because he was from the city she was from, or the state, the town. She was from Kankakee. And I asked him, did he know her? Let's say her name was Jennifer. He said, yeah, I know her, and she used to sleep with everybody and all that. I said, she was notorious. Everybody knew how she got down. Okay, this is how she got. And he said her aunties would be worried that she was sleeping with so many different guys. She would tell me that her and her cousins, I don't know if their sex drive was at her level. It could have been, but she said they thought it was cute to sleep with multiple men on one street. So if the street had let's say 10 or 20 houses on it, they thought it was cute to sleep with as many young guys off of that street. She said we thought it was cute back in the day. Okay. I remember one time, this is what she told me. She would brag about the sexual things she would do. She told me one time she was sitting on the porch. Things about to get graphic, y'all. She was sitting on the porch, and she's sitting on the porch with some people, and she said, I want some D-I-C-K. I don't like saying that word. And one of the guys said, excuse me. She said, I want some D-I-C-K. He said, well, I could go get you some D-I-C-K. She said, yeah, go get it. He went and got some random dude. He brought the dude. She said about 10 people was on the porch. He brings the dude. The dude yells, who needs some D-I-C-K? She said, I need it. He said, well, come get it. She said, okay, where we gonna do it at? I don't know whose vehicle. She said it was someone's vehicle. That one of the people that was on a porch with her, they had a car that was parked right in front of the house, and they said, well, you all can do it in the back seat of my car. They gave him the keys, and she said they got in the back seat of the car and did it while everybody, all the onlookers was looking. She said after they got in the back seat, they was doing it. They got out the car. I think one of her cousins was on the porch too, and her cousin said, I cannot believe you did that. And she said, girl, the car was rocking and it was getting all foggy while you all was in there. She thought it was funny. She thought it was for that. That's how she got down. In addition, she was dating a guy. He had she claimed that he had slept with her cousin, and he claimed that her cousin had that him and her were on the porch, and that the cousin had played with it, was rubbing on his penis and pulled his penis out, and then he let her do it, and then they went in the house and had sex. So in retaliation, my friend, this is what she did. So she was mad about it, so that he slept with her cousin. So what she did was she recruited another guy to get revenge on him. So she went into the guy's basement, so let's have sex. Some kind of way she got her friend to tell her boyfriend where she was at. So let's say her boyfriend was looking for her. She set it up to where he was looking for her, and she said, I'm over at Becky's house or whatever, and then she said, tell him to come over to Becky's house, that's where I'm at. So the friend brought him over to Becky's house. She was downstairs in a room having sex with this guy named, let's just name him John. They're in there doing it. Some kind of way she knew or heard her boyfriend come down the steps, or she heard, I think he was knocking on the door. And so right when he started knocking on the door, they started to have sex, and she was telling him, go harder, go harder. And I guess she was saying the headboard was hitting the wall. She's like, go harder, go harder. And he hit, he going hard, and her boyfriend's hearing the whole thing. And she's like, go harder. And he's going harder, and he's doing this and that. And so when they were done, the boyfriend stood out there and listened to the whole thing. She said she opened up the door, and she said the look on his face was just, she said he had a look of just like sickness. And she said he looked at her, he was like, man, you bogus for doing that. He's like, you wrong. And she just laughed and walked away. So yeah, them women, this category of women, they don't, so for you men who like cheating and doing all that, yeah, you gonna run into the right female, because with that particular female, she didn't play around. She did the cheating. And don't you dare cheat on her back, because she had no problems laying down having sex with a random dude. It was none but a thing for her. So for you men who want to act like, oh, women gonna just sit here and let you cheat on them and they're not gonna retaliate. Oh, no. You ain't ran into the right female. So anyway, yeah, she told me she was nothing but a squirrel looking for a nut. She told me about all the different sexual stuff she would be doing, all these stories. She had one male friend where they were, she was having sex and they had condoms all around the room. Her mother found the condoms and she told her mother, oh, we were just playing with the condoms, we weren't doing anything. I'm like, girl. But yeah, she had a real high sex drive. I had another friend, she had a high one like that. Like I said, this category of women, once again, every woman does not behave like this with a high sex drive. It's different. I just told y'all about the previous category that has a high sex drive. She's not going to jump on everybody she see. She got to get to know the guy. She got to feel the chemistry. Okay, she got to keep seeing them and being around them. This particular female that I'm talking about here, they ain't got to do all that. Okay, you know, if you cute, and even if, and with these women, you ain't even got to be cute. Because like I said, the one girl told me she slept with dudes with big stomachs, old ones, tall ones, short ones. It didn't even matter to her. Okay, so my other friend, I found that she was at one point prostituting. She would sit there and tell me all these sexual stories. She was sleeping around with a married man. I remember she went over to his house. He had I told this story before. He had 3 friends over there. She tried to hook me up with one of the friends, but since she stopped because she told me she slept with him. And when I asked her what happened, she said that the married man, when she went over his house, he had his friends over there. He said that I think it would be cool if you sleep with my friends. So she said, okay, cool. So she came out the room and asked them who wants to go first and was taking them in the room one by one. Even the guy that she hooked me up with. Okay, she did that to me. So yeah, she would tell me all these stories about, because she said, you know, I want a guy that'll do it to me all day long. And I'm like, well, then how much penis do you need? I'm like, she'll just tell me different stories about dudes she slept with. And she would say she would like talking to me because I would sit there and listen to the stuff. Like, I'd be like, girl, what happened next? Tell me more. Because I didn't understand why she was acting like that. I met her in Job Corps. I remember we was in a room together and she left, it was some guys outside. And she was looking out the window. She pulled up her shirt and showed them her breasts. She'll do things like that. The men she slept with did not have to be handsome. She was on a volleyball team, and it was her and a couple other girls on a volleyball team. And I think they had some men on the volleyball team too. So what happened was they had that Job Corps I was in had to play another Job Corps. And what happened was they went out of town. They had chaperones, a male and a female. And they all had, they went to the hotel. They had their own hotel room because they had to play against the other team the next morning. So while the chaperones was asleep, they was in there having sex, getting down. She slept with this one dude named Artie. He was extremely unattractive. I think I heard he was bisexual. And that don't make him ugly because he's bisexual, but yeah, anyway, she slept with him. She was not even attracted to him. Then she tried to sleep with another guy that night. He found out and cussed her out. She said he kept doing it to her, her vagina was sore. They were doing it. She would do so many different things. She was accused of, okay, so then she was staying with another female friend and her boyfriend. And the boyfriend took her with him and his girlfriend to his family's house for Thanksgiving. She ended up having sex with one of his cousins that night. That was the first time ever meeting them. Having sex with one or two of the cousins that night. Then she threw up because she had been drinking. He told her she wasn't invited back there anymore. She has 2 kids. How she met her baby daddy, she went over her friend had threw a party. I know her friend threw a party. She said she seen this guy that she said I'm gonna have sex with him tonight. Her friend said, who? She said him. She said, that's my uncle. She said, well, I don't care, I'm gonna sleep with him. She said I don't know what happened. She went up to him, but she went up to him and her went into the bathroom, had sex. And he told her straight out, he said, I wasn't even planning on having sex with you tonight. She didn't care. They had sex, and after that, they ended up being together like for 5 years and having 2 kids together. And this man was like twice her age. There's so much stuff that she would do. She flat out told me, she said, you know, she slowed down since then sexually. And she told me, she said, you know, I used to have a high sex drive. I don't know what happened to my sex drive. So that's why she was acting like that. You know, she had a high sex drive, but not every woman who has a sex drive gonna act like that. But that's what it was. She had a high sex drive. She would tell me that I was a prude. I remember she would go to the strip club. Another friend that she had, the friend used to strip, and she'd go to the strip club, watch her. Then they'd hang out in the backyard, having sex with dudes, whatever the hell they'd be doing. She was real sexual. Okay. The men, the guys that looks the married man she was messing with, he was unattractive. She didn't care. Like it wasn't, that big of a deal. I know another female, she had a high sex drive too. She was a really big flirt. But she only had 1 kid or whatever. But like I said, that's just a couple stories that I can get even more graphic than that. Okay, but that's one category of women that have a high sex drive. They might behave like that. You got another category of women that have a high sex drive. Like I said, she's not going to behave like that. She has to get to know the guy. He has to be cute to her. Plus, she has to get to know him. She got like his personality. She got to vibe with him. And if she's not vibing with him, nothing's going down. Because when my sex drive had raised, I hung out with a couple dudes I thought were quite handsome, and I just wasn't ready to sleep with them. I didn't feel that chemistry, and I did not sleep with them. So if women are only preserving their high sex drive for men they're attracted to, you got to elaborate on this attraction thing. You know, attraction for a woman is just more than how he look. Now, with some women, the other category of woman, attraction is just basically, you know, she was horny and he was there and he's screwable. She thinks kind of like how some of you men think. That's the other category of woman. And like I said, I didn't say all women have a low sex drive. I said that a significant amount of women have a lower sex drive than men. So if men's sex drive is a 10, I'm gonna say a lot of women may be at a 6, and then it fluctuates. Like some women, at a certain time of month it might raise, or a certain time in their life it might raise. Some women at a certain time in their life it might drop. Like mine, I feel mine has dropped. Okay, so you know, there's different categories here. Everybody doesn't behave the same just because they have a high sex drive, and everybody doesn't behave the same if they have a low sex drive. The bottom line is the majority of women do not have a high sex drive like that. They don't. And then the ones that do, the 30% or whatever percentage that does, they're still not jumping on every guy they see. Okay, they got to still feel chemistry. They got to still like them. And then that's another category that, yeah, she don't care. You know, she still is selective kind of, but she's just trying to get laid. Okay, but that's not the majority of women. Okay, so like I said, that polygamy thing, regardless if she has a low, moderate, high sex drive, it's never going to work because one man cannot satisfy multiple women.